Think you know the Bible? Think again. Tune in as Rabbi Epstein and Tom Levine reveal the extraordinary hidden within the ordinary in Breakneck Through the Bible by Torch Dallas. Each episode may cover just a few verses, but don't let that fool you. Get ready to learn the Bible at a breakneck pace.
We're on page 61 in Genesis, Lech Lecha, chapter 14.
Yeah. And it's interesting. We ended off last week that God told Abraham to go to the length and breadth of the land of Israel because God's going to give him the entire land of Israel, which is our homeland. And we had it before anybody else, right? We got it straight from Noah, who ruled the entire world. There's nobody around. Everyone was dead. And so Noah owned the world and gave it to his son Shem, who that's our great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, and Abraham's great-great-great-grandfather. Abraham and Avram, right now Avram, because he still had his name changed, but Avram and Shem are my grandchild, grandson. And he goes the entire land of Israel, right to length and breadth. And it says, and Avram eventually dwells in the plains of Mamre, right? And it's called the plains of Mamre. He's called Mamre because he rebelled against idolatry.
Is that what Mamre means?
That's what, Mamre comes from the word limrod, to rebel, right? So it was in the plains of Mamre that he went ahead and he rejected idolatry, and that it's in Hebron. The word Hebron comes from connection, that he connected himself to God. So that's where he decided to settle down.
When you say Hebron, in English that would be Hebron? That's okay. That's good.
Yeah, the English, it's it's the sound.
Okay. Good.
So in English it's called Hebron, Hebron, right, which eventually he's going to buy the land into bury Sarah. And what's interesting to note, we talked about how Lot went and chose to live in Sodom and Gomorrah, which was this most luscious place. Hebron is the worst of the land of Israel. Now, it's the worst of the land of Israel. It's still 7 times better than the best of Egypt, which was the pinnacle of the rest of the world. And Abraham still chose to dwell in Hebron. And here the Torah is telling us why he chose Hebron. Because he had God-fearing people there. People who rejected idolatry, wanted to connect to God. Those were the people that Avram wanted to hang around with. And that's where he dwells in Hebron, or as in English, Hebron, Hebron.
So here's a question, Rabbi. And it probably will be better asked a few chapters in the future. But only because I'm thinking about it now. When Avram split up with Lot, and Lot went east, and Abraham went west.
Yes.
Because he went towards Sodom and Gomorrah.
Right.
And we will learn what happens
in chapter 14.
Okay, good. So I'm not that far ahead. But here's my question. Was that a mistake? If Abraham had said, Lot, you're going to go west and I'm going to go east, not because the land is better, but I have a better chance of, I don't want to use the word convert, but
or withstanding the pressure.
But more so than that, we learned that all Lot had to do is get one more righteous person, and God would not have destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah.
Right.
Well, we obviously will learn he couldn't do that, or didn't do that.
Right.
Abraham highly likely would have been able to do that.
Well, he did. Right.
So my question stems from, if Abraham had gone there instead of Lot, he could have saved
the city of Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And was that not the higher road? Was that not the better thing to do? Was that not better than just giving Lot the option of picking which way he wanted to go?
That's a very good question. And it's really the balance of where do you choose to live? Do you choose to live where there are more, call it scummy people, because you'll be able to hopefully influence them to some level? Or do you live in a place? Avram chose to live in people that were God-fearing and rejecting idolatry.
Okay, but take you as an example.
Yes.
You could live in the land of Israel if you wanted to.
Correct.
But you have chosen to live with the scummy people here in Dallas.
No, okay.
To help us see and come closer to God. Isn't that a higher calling than picking the easier route to live in the land of Israel, where you would be
surrounded with more righteous
spiritually people? Yeah.
So I do want to disagree with you that the people in Dallas are not scummy. The people in Dallas are wonderful
my
people.
point. Yeah, good.
Right? Now, they might not have been born with the level of knowledge that I was born with.
Same thing with the people in Sodom.
Well, the people in Sodom not only were not born with the knowledge, let's assume that, but they chose to live an immoral life. You know, they were living an immoral life. So it really wasn't that they were just like parv, you know, like sort of not good, not bad, just in between, just lacking knowledge, right? It would be, right, would I purposely go and pick up and move to a place that people...
Las Vegas.
Okay, right, and even Las Vegas, right, we kind of joke about it, you know, so, but Las Vegas has a huge city,
population.
Huge city, and pretty much the rest of the city is a regular city, right? You know, the Strip might be called the Strip for many reasons, and correct, it might not be such good activity going on there, but some places there are. So it's also, but let's assume there's a place called Sodom, right? Let's say there's a place called Sodom, right? And so a place called Sodom, right, in America, would I pick up and go and live in such a place? You know, like that's a much more sophisticated question, right? Would I go ahead and choose to live in such a place?
Even if you knew there were misguided Jews living there.
Right. Or right, what would I do? Right? So that's a more sophisticated, that's really the question you're asking.
Yeah.
And this was a city that was dedicated to, call it, their own hedonism, right? And kind of...
And Abram knew this at the time.
Yes. It was well known.
Yeah, well known.
Right? Well known that these are people that are dedicated to just kind of their own physical pleasures.
So did he do the right thing?
So I do not recall anywhere that Abraham is critiqued for doing that.
For not himself insisting he go to Sodom and Gomorrah.
Correct.
Far be it for us to critique him.
Right.
Yeah.
No. But that's your question. Does the Talmud make any reference to Avram not doing it? And we'll see, because Avram does go ahead and he does get critiqued.
Do you see?
But we'll see what he gets critiqued for.
In other places in the Torah that we have a situation where a Jew purposely goes in, I'm going to say the lion's den, but the
den of
inequity.
And right.
For the purpose, though, of almost doing the Adam, I can eat from the tree because I'm going to be so good, I can overcome it.
Well, we do have Dinah goes to Shechem, right? Genesis 34, 35, right? Where she does that. Now, again, where Shechem is bad as Sodom and Gomorrah, but what happened there was tragedy. She went there to try to bring them to good.
To tshuva.
Didn't
work well for her.
No.
Okay.
Well, yes and no. Because she did end up bringing the city back to God.
Okay.
And she did end up producing the mother of one of the tribes.
That's pretty good.
Very good. But the personal challenges she had to go through was quite.
And is she held in a high esteem for making that decision?
Yes.
I see. I would have thought you would have said no. Because if she was held in high esteem, then by not making that decision, like what Abram did.
So now, it's interesting. Avram was not by himself.
Good.
Right? Avram had 318, whole entourage, 318 families with him. So this becomes then a question, what's going to happen to the rest of those families? And now, right, what happens to the rest of those families? And that now becomes a much more sophisticated question, right? But it's a very good question, and we're going to grapple with this as we go through chapter 14. So I'm glad you brought it up now. You're a few verses early, but otherwise we're right on.
Okay. Verse 14?
Go ahead.
Verse 1. Chapter 14
verse 1, page 61.
And it happened in the days of Amarchel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of
Eliezer, Kedorlaomer,
king of Elam, and Tidal, king of Goyim.
Okay, so now interesting.
Which are 4 kings.
With 4 kings, right? Amraphel is actually is a repeat performance or appearance by our good old friend. No, not Pharaoh. No. Pharaoh's not around yet.
But the king in Egypt.
Actually, right. Pharaoh's a title.
Yeah.
Right. So it could be lots of pharaohs, because the Pharaoh that we just had with Avram going down was not the same Pharaoh of the Exodus.
Right. But is that the same Pharaoh as Amraphel?
No, so Amraphel is not Pharaoh.
Oh, okay.
He is Nimrod. Nimrod, our friend from the Tower of Babel.
Oh.
The ruler of the Tower of Babel. And they call him Amraphel, right? That because Amar, it's actually two words. Amar Pol. He said, throw him. He's the guy that said throw Avram into the fiery furnace.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay, so that's a good old buddy showing up.
And what is Shinar?
Shinar is Babylonia.
Okay.
So it's Nimrod, the king of Babylonia.
And why do they change the names?
So the names is very important. The Torah is not a history book. So anytime it tells me a name or whatever, it's telling me something, it's teaching me a lesson. So I need to learn that lesson. Right? So Amar Pol, so now it's telling us, by the way, Nimrod, the guy who threw Avram into the fiery furnace, he's the one that now is showing up over here and is the same guy, is the dude reappeared. Now it's interesting, because how old was Avram at this point in time?
70?
73.
73.
He's 73. Okay, 72, 73. That's all Avram is at this point in time. Right? And so now it's almost...
Just for our listening audience, lifespans were much longer.
Right. So at that point in time, Avram's going to die at 175.
Yeah. So he's a young pup right now.
Well, right. So he's 73. He's halfway through.
Yeah.
Right? A little less than halfway through. So call it today, he's in his 40s, early 40s. Yeah. Right? And like that's, in our sort of the lifespan type of thing. And Nimrod's coming back. 50 years ago, roughly 50 years ago, okay, I don't know the exact time, roughly 50 years ago, Nimrod said, throw Avram into the fiery furnace.
And we're clear that he knew this is the same person.
Well, again, he's not fighting with Avram right now. right? Right now, these are going to be the
Oh, right. Okay, good.
okay.
Good.
The 4 kings against the 5 kings.
Okay, you're right. Good.
Okay, what we would call the First World War, right? When people say World War One, really it was not World War One. There were many world wars before then, but alrighty. So these 4 kings. Go ahead, verse
And
2.
is it Elam and
Elam.
Goim?
Kedar king of Elam, and Tidal, the king of Goyim.
Goim.
Right,
Goim?
Goyim, which means nations, right? That a whole bunch of nations got together, and they
made war on the 5 kings, which is Bera, king of Sodom, Birsha, king of Gomorrah,
Amorah, Shinov, king of Admah, Shemever, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that was Tsoar. Right, and again, now, right, who is Bera? So Bera, actually the word Ra, right, the last 2 letters, evil. Beis Ra, 2 evils. He was bad for heaven and bad for people. Okay, so these kings are the 5 kings, 5 city-states around Sodom, but these were not your most upstanding, righteous citizens.
Good, but that's a good point you made, that in our world today, these guys would be mayors.
Well, not mayors. They're warlords. They're
But
not
it was
mayors.
over
They're
their
city-states. You know, it's kind of like in America, we have a rough time, wrapping your head around this. Well, as a country, is it not a country? So these were all pseudo countries, right?
They had their own armies.
They had their own armies, right? So each place was.
They each collected their own taxes.
Right.
They had revenues. Okay.
Right, and it's interesting. I remember when I was a kid learning about like Rome and city-states, and not quite understanding it, but just because our context, here in America is so different, and even like a lot of the stuff going on in the Middle East, people don't understand. It's really tribal. It's not cities, and we see Esau, right? Western civilization got kings. The Arabs, they got aloof, like generals, or like really tribal, and really you take a look, the Western civilization went, and when they conquered all those tribal places, they built the roads, right? England, right, was empire building and building roads, and Rome the same way. It's that Western civilization type of thinking, right? It's going ahead and it's creating structures of countries that we understand. They're not like that. And so this also was 5 city-states, right? Each one of them had their own king, had their own army, right? Bera, right? Beis Ra, he was doubly evil. He was bad for people and bad for heaven. And so the king of Sodom, Birsha, right? The king, right? The king of Amorah, Birsha, again comes. The root of that word is Russia, is wickedness, right? That he went up in his wickedness. Shinov, the king of Admah, right? The word Shin of his father. Sone Avi, hated his father, means he hated God. Shem Aver, right? Is that he knew magic, that he was able to sort of fly up and to rebel against God. And the king of Bela was Tsoar. So those are our 5 wonderful kings.
Now, how are they materially different than the 4 kings we just read about in last paragraph? I mean, why are we distinguishing these 5 versus the 4 from the last sentence?
So there's a world war going on, right? There's a world war. There's a war of.
So those 5 kings had treaties amongst themselves, and the 4 kings had their own treaties.
Among them, right? And so
you had these two groups.
That's why I said the First World War taking place. These two, they're taking place. Now remember, Sodom and Gomorrah was a very fertile land. Okay, very fertile land, right? It was a place of tremendous wealth, right? And that's where they're wicked. They didn't want to share it with anybody else. They didn't want anyone staying over, right? They were just wicked people, right? They were wicked, and the people that were coming and fighting against them, led by Nimrod, right, who rebelled against God and took the whole world to rebel against God, right? It's kind of
You'd think Nimrod would fit right in with the five
right, birds of a feather. But now he wanted to make sure he collected the taxes, right? So now he's going ahead and he's Mike.
So why did they accept Lot? Why Lot was a stranger? Why wouldn't they have done to Lot like they do to the other strangers that come to visit their city?
So Lot was wealthy.
Okay.
Lot came with money, right? So he was part of the club, right? Okay. He fit right in. And it's interesting, and he actually didn't live in Sodom. He went till Sodom, right? But he was a good neighbor to have. He was wealthy. He didn't need any handouts. Like they were happy with the and again, he was Avram's nephew, which on some level, right? Avram was a very famous person.
Okay, they knew that.
So it was like, like Warren Buffett's nephew moving by. So like, I don't know if he has a nephew or not, but right.
Special treatment.
Right, special treatment. Okay. So they had this war. Go ahead, verse 4.
Verse 4, 12 years they served Chedorlaomer, and they rebelled 13 years. In the 14th year, Chedorlaomer.
Kedorlaomer, right? Go ahead, Kedorlaomer.
Okay. And the kings who were with him came and struck the Rephaim.
Right, Rephaim. Right, so that was
at Ashtaroth.
Mm-hmm.
Karnaim?
Ashtaroth Karnaim.
Karnaim. The Zuzim in Ham. What's a Zuzim?
Zuzim are, again, these are different tribes.
Oh, these are, okay. The Emim at, this is great, Shaveh Kirathaim?
Right, okay.
And the Horitites in their mountains of Seir, as far as the plain of Paran, which is by the desert.
Okay, right. So
I
what
hope
happened?
Our audience is following along in the book.
You did a good job.
Yeah.
You did a good job. I actually can't read it in the English either. I just read it in
the
Hebrew.
Is actually easier.
easier to read. Right. So all these different tribes that we went, right? Rephaim were the tribe of giants, right? And so they went ahead and, he went and he sort of was fighting all these people. Okay? All these tribes and winning them.
Then they turned back and came to En Mishpat, which is Kadesh. And they struck all the territory of the Amalekites, and also the Amorites who dwell in Hazazon Tamar.
Okay, now again, right, Nechatzon Tamer. Right, Nechatzon Tamer is Ein Gedi, right? And so it's interesting that these names that it's giving us here, it's foreshadowing what these names are going to be called by the time the Jews get there in the desert.
Okay.
Right, and so, right, that Ein Mishpat, which is Kadesh, they were going to, where the well of rebellion, that was that place, and so therefore, right, the field of Amalek wasn't born yet, because Amalek, remember, comes from Esau. Esau's not around, but these are things that are going to be in the future. So it's just telling us that these are the kings that this is the area that he was in. Yeah.
Yeah, verse 8. And the king of Sodom went forth with the king of
Amorah, the king of Admah, the king of Zebaim, and the king of Bela with Soar.
And engaged them in battle in the valley of Siddim with, go ahead.
With Kedorlaomer, the king of Elam, Tidal, the king of Goyim, Amraphel, the king of Shinar, Arioch, the king of Eliezer, the 4 kings
against
the 5.
The valley of Siddim was full of bitumen wells. Important to know what a bitumen well is.
Right, so that's like quicksand.
Oh,
okay. I mean, bitumen, I think, actually is a type of tar, but these were quicksands.
Okay. The king of Sodom and Gomorrah fled and fell into them, while the rest fled to a mountain. They seized all the wealth of Sodom and Gomorrah.
Okay, good. So now, first of all, okay, let's read through them, then we'll come back to them.
They seized all the wealth of Sodom and Gomorrah and all their food, and they departed. And they captured Lot and his possessions, Gomorrah and all their food, and I read that again, sorry. And they captured Lot and all his possessions, Avram's nephew, and they left. And he was residing in Sodom.
Okay, now this is the punchline, right? This whole fight, 4 kings against the 5 kings, the important part is they went and they captured Lot. Now the question is, why does Torah spend so much time telling us about these 4 kings?
The makeup of the 2 armies.
Right. Why is that important to us? Right. So the reason is that the Torah here is telling us these were massive armies, so strong. And yet the 4 kings beat the 5 kings. That's how strong the 4 kings were. Remember, there were no machine guns. Right? So normally the more people you had was the better you were doing. Right? And all of a sudden now, it's like the 4 kings beat the 5 kings. That's how strong they were. Now Avram's going to have a test. Is he going to go fight them and save Lot, or is he going to say, no, I'm not going? So that's why the Torah here is busy telling us sort of their I don't call it their rap sheet,
Right.
but the statistics. They won 162 ball games. Now you're going to go play baseball against them, right? It's you're going ahead and it's telling us these were mighty strong nations.
Is it a fair thing to say that when Lot went down to the area of Sodom and Gomorrah, he did not know there was a war coming?
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
The valley of Siddim was full of bitumen wells.
Right.
The kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled there, and the rest fled to the mountain. They seized the wealth of Sodom, Gomorrah, and their food, and they departed. And they captured Lot and his possessions, Avram's nephew, and they left, for he was residing in Sodom.
He was residing in Sodom. So what is the Torah? We knew he's residing in Sodom. What's the Torah telling me in verse 12 that he's residing in Sodom? What got him all into all this trouble was he was residing in Sodom. Right? Poor choices lead to more poor choices, lead to more poor choices.
And albeit he was outside of the city, he wasn't far enough outside to be, he was still within the boundaries.
Correct.
I mean, yeah.
Right. So he was in the county limits.
Yeah, there we go.
Right? And so he's going ahead, and so, right, but that's the problem, right? He's causing lots of challenges.
Then there came the fugitive and told Abram, the Ivri, person on the other side?
The other side, right?
Who dwelt in the plains of Mamre, the Amorite and brother of Eshcol.
Eshcol, the brother of Aner.
These being Abram's allies.
Okay, good. So along comes the fugitive, and he tells Avram.
What happened?
You're right.
Lot's been captured.
What?
He's telling Abraham Lot's been captured.
Lot's been captured, right? So now who's he a fugitive from?
The 4 kings who won the war.
Well, he was from the losing side.
Okay, he was one of the 5 kings.
Actually, really from the race of giants that got annihilated by these 4 kings. So these 4 kings are pretty strong enough. They wiped out a race of giants. It's like crazy stuff. And along comes Og, lumbering over to.
Is Og the fugitive?
Og is the fugitive.
Ah.
Okay, so.
The same Og who survived the flood?
Ah, very good. So the other opinion is, no, he's the fugitive. He's a fugitive from the flood, right? From the flood of the time of Noah, right? He's one that hitched a ride on top of the ark. And God kept him around for this story. Okay, for this story, right? And so he's the one who, and was Og such a good guy?
No.
No, Og was a bad guy, right? So what is Og doing?
Stirring the pot.
Stirring the pot. Why is Og stirring the pot?
Because he wants Abram to engage the four kings.
Why does he want Abram to?
Well, because he's been defeated, and now he's, the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Think like Og. Tom, you're too naive. Tell me. Think like an Og. Think like an ogre. By the way, the word ogre probably comes from the word Og.
He wants Abraham to go and defeat his enemies.
No. He knows Avram's a goody gumshoes, right? That's what they call him. And he knows he's gonna go save Lot. We got to go save Lot. And Avram's got a very pretty wife named Sarai, right? One of the 4 most beautiful women in the world. And he says, good, Avram's going to go. He thinks he's going to win. He's going to lose. He's going to die. And guess what? I'll marry Sarai.
Okay.
Right? And that's why he goes and he does this thing. Though it wasn't for any ulterior motive. It was really to just go ahead and to be able to marry Sarah. Now, why is Avram called the Ivri from the other side?
Because he's not an idolater.
So it's interesting, right? So that's one of the reasons why Jews are called Ivrim, because we're on the other side. The entire world was idolaters and we were not. Remember, Avram also came from the other side of the Jordan River, right? Remember, he was down out in Iraq, right? Or in Haran, right? So now he's from the other side and he comes from the other side. Right? But that the entire world, it's a proud title we wear, right? That we wear the title of God goes ahead, right? And tells us, right, we are God-fearing people and the entire world is not, right? So we're on the other side, right? So we're on the other side. And why they called and he was dwelling, right, in the plains of Mamre, right, the brother of Eshcol, the brother of Aner, and they were the Bali Bris, right? So they were the allies, right? The simple explanation is that they were the allies. Another explanation is that, remember, when God told Avram to go and circumcise himself later on, Avram's going to come to them and ask them, well, what do you guys think about that? If I circumcise myself, I'm going to make myself different than the rest of the world. And if I make myself different than the rest of the world, so then at that point in time, if I'm different than the rest of the world, then I'm not going to be able to influence them and to teach them about God. Right? They're going to say, you're the strange guy that circumcised himself. Right? But they said, no, God said you do it, go ahead and do it. Right? So they're the ones that encouraged him and gave him the advice to go ahead and to do that. Verse 14.
And when Abram heard that his kinsman was taken captive, he armed his disciples who had been born to his house, 318, and he pursued them as far as Dan.
Okay. One short verse for man, many verses for us. What do you do? Morally, you're Avram. And you hear that Lot's been taken captive, your nephew. And you told him, by the way, that you would protect him. Right? Remember, when Lot separated, he said, wherever you go, he says, I'll still take care of you. But now
Abram didn't have a choice, really.
Well, yes and no, because fighting these 4 kings, you just saw their resume. These people are
yes, powerful,
very powerful. So you have to go even if you're going to get killed.
But Abram understood that it's all God all the time.
Yeah, but did God tell him to go? Just because God all the time doesn't mean you can't do something stupid and say, well, God, why did you save me? You go play in traffic, you're going to get run over. Well, what do you mean, God? It's all God all the time. You're going to protect me. And so you can't do stupid things and then say, God, you have to protect me.
Okay. I would think that. Okay, that's good.
So what do you do? This is a really moral question.
So did he ask God what he should do?
Now, also, it doesn't seem that he asked God. Now, also, I want to take back what I said, is that when God tells Lot to separate from him in chapter 13, it really happened after the story. So at this point in time, I'm not sure that Avram had signed had said to Lot that he was going to save him.
Okay.
Just take that simple. Let's just.
But also, Abram learnt a while ago that while God told him to go to the land which I have shown you, and Abram made the decision then to go to Egypt because of the famine.
That story happens actually 2 years after the story.
After the story.
Well, I said, how old was Avram at this point in time?
73.
And how old is he in Bin Lech Lecha?
75.
Yeah. Plot twist. I didn't want to bring that up because, like that's just don't worry about it.
So this reinforces the Torah is not a timeline.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And so.
But I could see Abram is still thinking Lot is a righteous person at this point.
Yeah, let's say
it's his nephew. Isn't there he's feeling an obligation to help him out?
Sure, but so go get yourself killed.
Okay.
Right. I mean, right. You have to know where are your obligations. What is the right thing to do?
And he knew without God's help, he couldn't have won.
Oh, that's clearly.
Yeah.
I mean, right? So he goes ahead, right? And it says he armed his disciples.
Is this one of his 10 tests?
Yeah. How many disciples did he have? 318?
Yeah.
318? Well, the kings of the 5 kings of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim, right, and Soar had more than 318 men, and there was a tribe of giants that they wiped out. And you think you're going to go ahead and do this?
So really, what you're saying is, Abram knew the only way he could win is with God's help, and but he did not know that God had not told him at this point that he was going under God's
right, that
auspices.
God was going to protect him, right?
So he made that assumption.
Oh,
he must have.
He did, because he felt that was the right thing, and you have to do the right thing. Now it's interesting,
even if it was certain death.
It's not right. Well, it wasn't certain death.
It would have been without God's help.
Correct.
And he didn't know he had God's.
Correct. And to make things even worse.
So when did he get God's blessing to do it?
Okay.
Maybe he just went so far and then he stopped until he had God's okay.
So he took 318 men. Those were the people that were with him. Now the Talmud says there are 2 opinions. Did he actually take 318? Or did he end up only going with Eliezer?
And for how far?
Right. And so it's very interesting. So the Talmud says, yeah, because the word Eliezer, right, Abraham's servant, the numerical value is 318. And that's what it means. He took 318 men. Is really he took Eliezer. But that kind of is like, really? It says he took 318 men. So I want to share with you something really cool. Because in the Hebrew, it says, and he chased them until Dan.
Ah,
Except, how do you say chased in plural? The plural word of chase is vayirdifu. That would be the plural, and they chased them. But it doesn't say that.
said he chased them.
And he chased them. Vayirdof Adan, and he chased them till then. It was only he. So what happened? So what happened was like this. He had 318 men. What were those 318 men doing? Studying Torah. So he walks in, he shuts down the study hall. He says, got to go save Lot. Now, Jews, before they go to war, what do? We ask 4 questions. Question number 1.
Are you married recently?
Who just got married this year? Question number 2.
Planted a vineyard.
I planted a vineyard this year. Question number 3.
Are you afraid?
No, that's question number 4.
Okay.
Question number 3.
I didn't know you wanted them in order.
Did you build a house? Okay. And then question number 4 is, are you afraid? And what does it mean, are you afraid? So this is crazy. Are you afraid that maybe you have sinned? And therefore, if you have sinned, then you don't deserve divine protection, and therefore you're afraid to go to battle. And what happened was they asked these 4 questions, and all 318 students bowed out. And it was left with just him and Eliezer. So he did take 318, but he ended up only going with Eliezer.
So, he later on gets rebuked, penalized for closing the yeshiva and taking all the... What if he had asked them before closing it and come to the same conclusion, it's just going to be me and Eliezer? So is the whole...
Hold on. So the Talmud says that because he closed down the yeshiva, just wholesale shut it down, at that point in time, it was decreed upon the Jewish people that they were going to have to go down to Egypt for 400 years.
To live as slaves.
So, back to your question, which is a crazy thing, meaning he did the right thing. The way he did it was wrong. And therefore, it was the right thing to go chasing after them. It was the wrong thing to shut down the yeshiva wholesale.
Well, plus, by asking the 4 questions and paring down, if he did it earlier, he would have been able to leave the yeshiva open because you would have had all of them,
they were all would
have 2.
Correct.
So really, this whole thing, the whole 400 years of slavery is a timing issue.
Correct. Not a timing issue, but he shut it down. He shut it down for an hour or 2 till he asked him all these questions, right? Till it happened, right? But that's the severity. It showed a lack of servitude, which is then God said, okay, you're going to have to go down into Egypt, and we're going to teach you how to serve.
At what point do you think Abraham knew
that he made a mistake?
Yeah.
That's a good question. It's a good question. I don't know.
Okay. We're going to assume that not right away, because
not before the battle.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
And so what happens? So off he and Eliezer go galloping off on their camels, I guess, and horses. Who knows?
Mules.
What?
On their mules.
Yeah, no mules gallop, but okay, right? And and you always see in the movies,
yeah.
the camel, the right,
sloshes along.
Right. So what happens is so they go ahead and they start chasing after these 4 kings. 4 kings look up, hey, people attacking us. They look up and they see 2 people. They start laughing. Then Abraham starts throwing dirt and sand. And God turns the dirt and sand into
Projectiles.
projectiles, arrows, spears, starts wiping them out. Now you can throw a lot of sand. 2 people can throw a lot of sand. And that's how they win the battle.
So at what point, and maybe this is not significant and therefore not in the Torah, from when he started chasing after them, did he know he was with God? Or
Right,
God was with him?
right. So I'm assuming as soon as the sand turned into projectiles.
Well, I would hope before that, I would hope he's not throwing sand just on the whim that maybe God is going to step in here.
Maybe went to the practice range and kind of like kicked up sand and all of a sudden turned to, okay, that's the way we're going to do it.
Yeah.
That's the way God's going to do it. You see, but God wants to make it clear that he's the one that wins battles. Battles are not won and not lost by people. They're won and lost by God decreeing. How it happens? Okay, so you tell me all the different ways.
Till today.
Yeah. 100%. When you take a look at, this war in Israel and Gaza, right? America said, don't go in, you're going to lose 10,000 soldiers. And it has been so, too many, but nowhere near that number. That's how much God really has protected us. That's what happens. God's with us.
But the real lesson is, what did we have to learn to have prevented this from happening at all?
Right.
And I'm not sure we've learned that.
It's funny. It's right. The one lesson I think that we like to take away from October 7th is unity. The Jewish people have to be united, because when we're united, nobody can stop us.
Okay.
Right? And I think that's really what it is. So there goes Avram and Eliezer chasing them, and they chased them until Dan. Why did they stop at Dan? Dan is in the north. Is because Dan was the place that later on in Jewish history, the northern kingdom is going to erect an idol there. And Avram saw this, and at this point in time, it just became totally weakened. And he couldn't continue the chase. Again, nothing caused by the other people. You can imagine how much fun it is throwing sand and turning it into projectiles, right? But he just saw that the Jewish people are going to sin over here, tremendous sin, and he just it's like, whew, it's like, it's like the air taken out of him.
Wow.
And really, everything that's going on, it's really this concept, of going ahead and just of, right. Avram is living in the land of Israel, is exuding this holiness, and Avram is just tapped into it in a real way.
Verse 15?
Verse 15.
So we just finished by saying, and he pursued them as far as Dan.
Right.
And he, with his servants, deployed against them at night and struck them. He pursued them as far as Horvath, which is north of Damascus. He brought
okay,
back,
right. So he went all the way to Damascus, right?
So what is it? I'm confused where it says he pursued them as far as Dan, and now it's saying he pursued them as far as Horvath.
Right, as far as right, Chova, right? So it's interesting. Dan, Chova, there's no city named Chova. The word Chova is a name of Dan. Why is it called Chova? It's called, Chov means like a debt, D-E-B-T, right? That Chova Dan was the place that they were going to get a debt. What was the debt they were going to get there? The debt was that they were going to build an idol later on in Jewish history. Now, one more idea with which we're going to end. Crazy idea. Okay, crazy idea. You ready, Tom?
Yeah.
Alrighty. So what does it say? So it says he was deployed against them at night, and he struck them. Okay?
Yeah.
So the Hebrew writes it, Vayecholek Alehem Laila. Right? And they translate it, and he was, like he chased them like even through the night, right? But
He
the word
being Abraham.
What? Abraham, right?
Yeah.
Abraham and Eliezer,
Yeah.
right? Now, interesting that usually at night people stop chasing, but he didn't. But the Talmud says, fascinating, that this night was split up into two. This was a night of miracles. Which night of the Jewish people in the Jewish calendar is a night of miracles?
Pesach?
Pesach. So this took place on Pesach.
Oh, wow.
And he split the night. He used the first half of the night, the first half of this miraculous night was to save Lot. What was the second half used for? Abraham said, keep the powder dry for the miracle that's going to take place when we go ahead and we leave Egypt. Vayecholek Alehem, and they split upon them. Laila, the night. They kept half the night was for the miracles here to save Lot. And the second half is going when they left Egypt.
Wow.
Pretty crazy.
Very deep. Yeah, good.
Fascinating. And now that we're talking about this, so I'm going to ask you a fascinating question. What was so special about saving Lot that Abraham spent the miracle of this night? Exodus from Egypt, I get. Saving the Jewish people, take them out of Egypt, I get. But what was so special about this night that he goes ahead and he's willing to spend it on saving Lot?
Because Lot represented the Jewish people, the wayward Jewish people. The same people that were going to be taken out of the land of Israel, the Egypt, during the Exodus, is represented by Lot here.
So it's interesting. Lot is not part of the Jewish people. And it could be interesting what you're saying. So I had two thoughts. Maybe a third. Thought number one is we're going to see at the end of all this, Avram's going to walk away with two mitzvahs that we didn't have before.
Tzitzit.
Tefillin.
And tefillin.
So it was worth spending half a night. 12 hours of miracles, you spend 6 hours to get two mitzvahs. Well spent. That's thought number one. Thought number two. Lot is such a fascinating character in the Torah. And we'll get more into Lot because he's going to come around a few more times. But at the end of the day, Lot becomes the great-great-grandfather of King David and the Messiah. So Abraham was guarding this
lineage,
this image. This lineage, right? Or this remnant for the Messiah. And that is why he went ahead and spent the night. Half the night. This miraculous night. Can you imagine if you had a miraculous half night, what would you use it for? And so it's when you say Mashiach. When you make sure the Messiah is going to come.
And tell me what you said number one was, your idea?
One was for the two mitzvahs.
Okay, yeah. And they're not mutually exclusive.
Correct. That's number two.
And you said you had a third.
I had a third thought. A third thought is that when we have a responsibility, Avram clearly felt he had a responsibility to Lot.
Yes.
Which is why he did what he did.
And you're saying this is even before he committed to Lot.
Right, even before he committed to Lot. And so, when you have a responsibility, you have to do what you have to do. Means you can't say, well, do I really want to spend this here? You have a responsibility. You have to do what you have a responsibility for. So those are three different ideas that are kind of swirling around.
Okay.
And I need to think about this. And you got to go check this in, right? Why was this? And our listeners, if you have any ideas, please feel free to share it with us. www.torchdallas.net, and just contact us, and you can send a question or comments, and we'd love to hear back from you.
Thank you, Rabbi. Another great episode, and we'll be waiting on bated breath for our next podcast.
Yes,
thank you.
And I'm sorry, this is in middle of the story, so stay tuned. This is always like watching the TV shows where Batman and Robin are about to get cut in half, and stick around. Let's see what happens.
Thanks, Rabbi.
Thank you, Tom. Have a great day.
You've been listening to Breakneck Through the Bible by Torch Dallas. Visit torchdallas.net for more mind-expanding episodes that will forever change how you read the Bible.